Okay, so much for the camera. I'll just leave it up to you to find whatever inspires you. I rather run myself than have a dog run, and if then I would run together with the dog and in this way challenge myself again. And that's just what I started to realize. Because this dog in essence is weak, because it cannot survive on its own. And I have to make my own decisions. He's on the leash, so I only accept nature's teachings. All right, you're here, I'm there, we're everywhere. I mean, what's weird? Spirit. Okay, I just walked, which you will never be able to know, to get this for 20 euros. It's a gas cooker. And so I'm switching to gas. But I just decided that it's insane to just push this through. Because first I have some chocolate. Because this was strenuous, to say the least. And now I had this mad idea. I'm just gonna put this on here. I had this mad idea to just push through into the park. But I have to say that I cannot do this right now. I've been to the park a couple of days ago and I've done a lot of work. You know, I took the frisbee, I threw it because it's a bit like here. Maybe I'll get into it, right? Maybe I'll get into it. I have to see. But right now I feel almost dead. I had a bit of breakfast. It was a heavy day. I had a weird dream where I felt like I was being cut open. And when I woke up, I felt kind of dead, right? You know, I don't really know what all of this means. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Is it a sign? Well, it's certainly the reason why I started to retrace my steps and get rid of all the habits that keep me too trapped in this societal hell that all of us helped to create. I just no longer wanted this. And so one way for me to rid myself of these habits and ideas was to certainly start moving more, because what I had been trained in school was that I have to stay where I am. But I mean, let's face it, we used to be a traveling folk, nomads. We used to hunt resources like wildebeest, and then we started to settle. So the body itself is, if you cannot hike in bare feet for 2 hours, then because you feel like, wow, it's painful and it hurts and you're like agitated and irritated and nauseous and you get weak and weak and weak, well, then yourself is in a pretty bad state. I mean, I just walked. It was 1.5 hours to get there, roughly. And then now half an hour to get here from there. Yeah, maybe a bit less than half an hour. 20 minutes. And I just realized, wow, I feel dead. I feel dead. And then I brought my slack line, and I brought my frisbee, And now I sit here and I feel dead. And that's basically what this is. I mean, I don't know how much I'm supposed to be able to walk. For how long must I walk? You know, when do I have to rest? It's probably bad. I have started eating sugar again in chocolate. I thought I could do it without, but the last couple of weeks were heavy, to say the least. So this is 90% chocolate just from Lidl, but I also bought other kinds of chocolates. Just normally in normal like milk chocolate you've got 50% sugar, my friend. This has now 10%. But I do take my bitter stuff, but I feel like maybe it's true that you do need some sweetness in the form of fruits. You know, occasionally. I mean, if you start wearing out, I feel like I have to eat meat soon. When? I don't know, I'm gonna stretch it out a little. Right? I'm gonna stretch it out a little. So the body itself is a feeling. What do you mean? I mean, so okay, most people, they live their life and they run around. And they look into the mirror and then they look at stuff, and if something annoys them, they cut it away. And then they put on makeup and deo so that they, you know, they cannot smell themselves anymore. The body itself is basically, you have to face the state you're in. Which is why if you stop, let's say you stop brushing your teeth, I'm just saying, that's what I did, to see in what a state my teeth are in. I stopped taking deo. I reduced showering. Now I take baths, maybe every once in a week or something. I experimented with food. I started sitting like this more. And you realize sitting like this is an effort at first. And this annoys me, because I think, why does it have to be an effort? So I have shown you already that I can move, but I've also made it clear that I cannot do this all the time, because there are other tasks. Like today is not a day where I just have to be in the park, you know, slack off and just be happy about it. I mean, being in the park is also never just slacking off. It's hard work. It's hard emotional work. It's an open space. And who wants to can engage with me. And that's a challenge. That's like facing yourself. Because I'm very good at mirroring people and showing them their own nonsense. So the body itself is, if you take off your shoes and you try to hike for 2 hours, and every time there's like little stones and little branches, you're like, ow, ow, ow. That's your reflection, my friend. You're on edge, you're full of shit, you're overly sensitive, you're weak AF. You're a weakling. So your body needs strain to become strenuous again. like a tree. So you start facing nature, but you start however you want to start. So I don't know why sometimes I meet people and I feel like I'm carrying some emotional weight. And there is something then on the inside happening and all that kind of stuff, because we're all connected in some way. And I just established a new connection with the woman I bought the stove from. How that works, who's to say? I feel like it works because it's something about the heart. Your body can take on, depending on how open you are, your body can take on emotional trauma from other people. And then you can come to things like, my name is Christopher. Okay, where does the name stem from? Does every Christopher have to do what I did? Certainly not. But if you find meaning in these things, because some people give names more from a place of, I wish he were like this. But I mean, how many Muhammads do you know? How many Christophers do you know? And how many of these are really... The name Christopher is the guy who carries Christ, which is basically the child, over to the other side. And that's what you have to do for yourself. A name is in the sense just a name. And Christopher was just one guy. Because there are people who are not called Christopher, but they still realize something. They just put it to use in a different way. Like Dale Carnegie. Who else? You know, the idea of James Bond, who kills for the government. That's just an image. It's what people idolize. You know, like some kind of schmuck in a suit, which you could call a very tight garment, running around acting like super phony holy. Oh, I'm a gentleman. Yeah. And then I kill people with a silencer. You know? What a gentleman. Then I rather like ninjas, who just stay in the shadows. Or shamans, who only come out during times of need. Which is clearly why I'm here. Because nature is in a bad state. Humans are lacking respect. Humans is a form of being that is able to recreate himself through actions. And what we are recreating at the moment is an imbalance. Why? Because women looked at men for strength. Men tried to provide it. And then, I don't know, this is hard to explain. Because you can never know everything. But what I feel is that everyone's kind of like insane. Everybody's kind of like getting insane. I'm starting to feel like I could start throwing the frisbee. So I'm just an image that you can try to orient yourself on in order to figure out where you're at. I can tell you there are days where I can hike for hours, but then there are days where I cannot. I am struggling, and everyone is struggling as well. My neighbor just lost yeah, in a way her husband fell away because he's now trapped to bed because he had back problems, and she was given surgery, and now he cannot get out of bed anymore. He cannot, he will not, doesn't matter. He simply is now what we call impaired. So they did surgery, they operated on his lower back instead of telling him, hey man, maybe you should walk more. Maybe you should take off your sunglasses and just go into nature a bit. Because he was literally living in a cave, right? Because he never left the house, only to walk his little dog and to go shopping. And for that he had a car. So he was acting like full of pride, but at home he was just sitting around doing nothing. And he carried that pride because he never wanted to listen to anyone, and now, you know, he cannot move anymore, you know. Too bad. Self-responsibility, my friend. It's your problem. When I had problems with my lower back and they suggested giving me shots all the time, I simply said, well, don't you have like exercises for me? And they said no. So I started looking for them myself. Movement is good, it's certainly good, but you also need to rest. I try to stay awake often, and then I fall asleep again, because it takes time. You know, a tree usually loses its leaves or foliage, or however you call this, you know, even branches, during some time of the year. So also as humans, I think, because we have shorter lifespans, there's waking times and there's sleeping times. It's a natural state. So I don't know when people just started getting insane, whether it happened, you know, it happens everywhere. I mean, it just starts by, you know, you discover fire, and then you realize, okay, you can use fire to cook, you can use fire to create some kind of comfort, to create warmth in times of cold. And then at first you just take the branches that are lying around, and when you've used all the branches, you start forgetting that you used to be friends with the trees, and then you start cutting down your friends, the trees. And you know, you keep doing it, and because you started doing it, other people start doing it, because not everyone has this deep connection, right? Even in tribes in the Amazonian rainforest, which is what Embrace of the Serpent clearly talks about, there's a lot of madness there. I mean, there are villages where they've just gone completely nuts. And that's in a sense what Terence McKenna also talked about. And this is the same thing you find here. Every family home is living in some kind of like state of madness, because they started to separate themselves from nature, and they live like they don't belong to nature. So they kind of like crazy now. I don't know, something feels really heavy. I don't know, it's just all very hard to balance, I'm just saying. So your body itself is, if you start feeling weak and weak and weak, well, what can you do? The food you eat is empty, but you still have to continue to live. You know, I cannot say how people used to feel like. There are times, oh wow, now this is good. There was something heavy. to rest. You can push yourself, you can go hiking one day in bare feet and then push, but then you always need to rest. Because what happens if you hike barefoot, you release, you activate certain trigger points. And despite the fact that I've been hiking barefoot for years already, there are always new trigger points apparently that must be activated. And it's just very frustrating because I've never reached the point where I just have no problems anymore. And I still feel like I want to smoke joints. I still want to feel like I want to smoke joints. But I also have the feeling it's an unnatural state. It's not the natural state of mind. The natural state of mind is very different. It's not that relaxed. A tree is not really that relaxed. A tree is a mixture of strength, like you have to withstand the gales that life throws at you. But there will be days where it's kind of like nice. But as a human, there are different kind of gales. Like my neighbors, they gossip a lot. And I feel these things. And I have to move against it. And it's annoying to say the least, because why can't we work together? Well, because we were trained already as children that we have to compete and that we have to work against each other. So now we have to get back into this mindset, trees also grow for the forest. But there's still competition. And some trees maybe don't work together with other trees. And I just started out competing. All the people in my surroundings, which is why they started to focus on me, which I believe is kind of okay, because if they, in a way, see me as the challenge, I at least know I won't pull a knife. I won't, punch you. I'll ask you to play frisbee. I'll just try to motivate you. I'm not trying to tussle with you. And even women or children, my intentions are honest. I'm here, you can engage with me, but then you have to face yourself. Because I'm gonna hammer you hard with truth. So I'm just gonna try. Because sometimes if you feel weak, you have to start moving again. Let's just see how it's gonna fly. Wow, you see this? Awesome. I have to see how much I can capture of this. Okay, I'm gonna readjust it. Okay, just to create an image for you. And to me, just to get a bit of energy flowing. I don't know why I feel so heavy. You have to get into it first. Then try to catch it. Whoa! You see what I'm talking about, eh? I think you know what I'm talking about. I did this a lot. This is exactly actually what I need. But I think I am going to... You know, the park is getting too small for me. Because I'm growing so much spiritually that I feel like the park is getting too small for me. Maybe bullshit. But I have outgrown my old apartment. And then my new apartment. So first I outgrew my childhood room, and then I was being sent somewhere else. I would have stayed where I was, but life suggested to me you have to move on now. So I simply kept putting in the work, and my apartment is getting too small. My spirit is getting bigger and bigger. I'm reaching, like, growing into the ground, reaching out into the sky, so it's very hard to explain, but I cannot be restrained. The only thing that keeps me in check is nature, and there are some people who can keep me in check, but why do you think I produce so much content? So this is one thing. Maybe I'm just gonna keep on walking, go to the park, just do a session of slackline, and then do this again there. But this was nice. I have a fondness for chocolate. I don't think you have to demonize sugar. I think you live in this world, you grew up, there are certain habits you picked up. This was just the first part of this video. Now this tea contains black tea, 1.5 liters. I took 3 heaped teaspoons of black tea, Ceylon leafy black tea from a Turkish shop, where 1 kilo costs €7, $6.99. And then I added sage, just like sage tea, like maybe, I don't know, however much you feel like. Maybe 2 teaspoons. Do it 3. And then I added green cardamom. I only added the shells because I saved them. But if you just add green cardamom, and that's my drink for the day. This morning I did my dishes, because the body is self, you know, you just have to see it. You just have to feel it. You have to start hiking, take off your shoes and just see what state you're in. And maybe you're gonna start crying if you see in what a bad shape you are coming out of this society. How they try to prune you in school, cut away everything that had potential in you. And now you have to heal your wounds and start growing again. You're a plant, my friend. You can grow, and it works. I've done it myself. Everything that you thought you wanted and then thought you can never have, invest in it. Do what you like, figure it out, see what life is like, and then build up from it. That's all I can tell you. It's your choice, it's your work, it's your path. You have to fill it. Right? Society is still kind of like, it's the same struggle. It's still nature struggling, right? It's still struggling. It's just like a hive. But some ants leave the hive and colonize other places, which is what you can do now. You've got the potential to change. If only you reach out and start with something small. And you focus on yourself, you recognize that you've been injured, severely injured emotionally, and whatever else comes with that. All the habits, all that kind of stuff, you know, sick people teaching you at school, that kind of stuff. We're all children. We're all children of the forest. We have to remember this. And that's it. Balance yourself. Find yourself a woman or find yourself a man. Pin him down or pin her down. Start having a family. And learn from mistakes. You have made mistakes. You will make mistakes. Pay attention. Learn. We are here to learn. This is a continuous process. And this is what I have acknowledged. I made those choices. Even as a child, I had to make choices. If you really wanted, you could have said no to eating that sugar. But you ate it, and you liked how it made you feel, because it gave you a boost. Now you have to start from scratch again. Right? So I'm trying to reduce this, but sometimes there are times that are heavy, and then I just want to get off. I'm escaping the heaviness. I know that. But it's transformative. Yeah, now I just try to get to the park, because that's my challenge. But it's heavy. But I feel like it needs to be done. Most certainly. I have to go to the park and face there's some challenger. And I have to see it for myself. So I'm just gonna, okay? Drink my tea. Then get to the park. Make this recording. Then go back. Make some art, some garden work. And then keep on going. Detox is very important, but after you detox, you let go of lots of stuff. What are you gonna fill yourself with? So make conscious choices. You're gonna keep falling back into whatever abyss. There's potholes everywhere. So you have to be conscious. People lay traps for you just to see if you're smarter than them. But instead of hating them, you just see it as a challenge, right? I lay traps. Sometimes people fall into them. That's it. Face the challenge. Okay, so the body is self. I'm just here to inspire people to move more. I do so in the open. This is a park for everyone to access. So I simply show movement to advertise movement. So the question is always, why are you preferring sitting and thinking over just moving? Because you have been taught so from an early age. Because children who move a lot are strong and are hard to control. So I just started diving right into the experience. I toughened up my body, and slackline is certainly one of the things that brought me back into my balance. It showed me where I was lacking strength, and it encouraged me to make movement more an art form and to simply start to dance on a rope that's like 2 centimeters thick. And so all you can do is just watch it and then do it yourself. So the body is self. I know who I am, and I can maintain my balance while speaking. I can even maintain my balance when there's dogs around. I can walk backwards I can turn around and I can even think about things that I have to do when I get back home, such as crocheting more. And this, to most people, is already insane, because this is as close to death as they'll ever get before they actually die. So I just wanted to be like a tree, and I started to fly inside my mind, because I liberated myself from all these ideas, right? Because you usually, as a child, you imitate what you see, and what you see is lazy beings, people who sit too much, people who smoke, people who got used to just using products instead of engaging with themselves. So I'm literally working with my inner child. So I have a playful nature, but I have to be strong. I have the mentality of a warrior, and that warrior keeps my spirit, which is the child, alive. So I get to play, but I have to challenge myself to get stronger. And this is something that I started to develop, this specific skill, after years of training, most of it mental, but a lot of hiking, a lot of walking, barefoot, a lot of falling, a lot of getting back up. You fall, you get back up. Life comes and like BAM! Smashes you to the ground. Well, you're a little sapling in the forest. You know, a tree falls on you. Are you gonna grow through it, or are you gonna crumble? So nature is intimidating, and in order to survive in nature, you have to toughen up. Not just in nature, also society. Because people are out of balance, out of place. They're out of the habit of just living and letting go. They're in the habit of holding on, trying to live like they will never die, but they will. So why not just live and stay and float? So the body itself is about, this is clearly something that you can show. This needs no electricity, this needs no wheels. You know, if I can make rope myself, it doesn't even need plastic. This is an intense skill. I'm just saying. I'm just talking so that you can see that I can do both. Okay. Guten Tag. Können sich auch gerne draufsetzen, wenn Sie möchten. Sie können sich gerne draufsetzen. Hey.
Mach Ihnen da noch was vor.
Machen Sie. Alright, but now I came here to show you something about body and movement, and the body as the self. So I have to just stay active now. I just have to get this recording and then slowly but surely be on my way. So this is another skill which, if the bark is wet, is really hard to do. So, instead of focusing on me and myself, you should start focusing on you and yourself and simply move as much as you can. Because these are all skills that I developed because I just did it. Because I wanted to do it and because I was sick of just sitting around. Okay, let's see. Woohoo! Okay. This is the best representation I can give you for who I am. You can look at who I used to be, and there are many failed attempts, but you can also see who I've become by simply working with myself, like a therapist works with his child, like a father works with his child. You know, I get to play, but I have to work hard. And so I work hard and then I go and play. So I challenge myself in a playful way. And now to the frisbee idea. I'm just gonna do it over there. And it's intimidating for people to see, I can guarantee you that. There's people who run away when they see me, because to them I'm like something else. Something from a different kind of world. You know, I would never walk my dog on a leash, because I'd be controlling it with my mind. So, if you walk your dog on a leash, then you're on a leash. Because you think life should be on a leash. And this is as challenging for me as whatever is challenging for you. I have to actually convince myself to leave the house and do what I'm doing. And I often feel afraid for my life, because there may be people that want to challenge me and see me fall. But I've fallen so many times. You know, what's the point? Okay, let's try. Hui.
mitrennen.
Ja, genau.
Was der Hund kann, muss der Mensch auch können.
Jo.
Ich trainiere mich selber.
Und das.
Fehlen 3 Meter. Langsamer werfen. Komm hier.
Nur mit Ball, ne?
Ganz wenig. Schneller. Schon nicht selbst.
Ja. Oh.
Okay. So much for the camera. I'll just leave it up to you to find whatever inspires you. I rather run myself than have a dog run. And if then I would run together with the dog and in this way challenge myself again. And that's just what I started to realize. Because this dog in essence is weak, because it cannot survive on its own. And I have to make my own decisions. He's on the leash, so I only accept nature's teachings.